7 climate justice community events. More than 9.3 million riders saw our climate care messaging on metro buses and trains, and 39 million Americans accessed our C-SPAN Climate Justice Symposium. All told, our 2024 climate justice campaign exceeded 471 million total impressions. KBLA Talk 1580 thanks all of our 2024 climate justice partners: LADWP, Metro, Caltrans, Sierra Club, California Community Foundation, the California Endowment, LA City Council member Curran D. Price Jr., the California Wellness Foundation, MWD, AQMD, and the Port of Los Angeles. Caring about the climate, caring about the community, changing the conversation. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Zoe Williams, the voice of reason. If your relationship is in trouble, I'm the dude to call. Has your soulmate become your cellmate? Does black love still exist? What are your bedroom turnoffs? Fantasies and fetishes. Financial infidelity. I'm dating a fat person. Are they worth the wait? Trust me, this gonna be crazy.
How about the heavy stuff?
The child wasn't his, and he still had to pay child support.
It's a very heated topic.
How was that right?
Mama's baby, daddy's maybe.
I just have so many questions I want to ask you.
I just like to kiss. Is there something wrong with that?
Damn.
He told me he had a vasectomy. I'm pregnant.
Betrayal has been committed.
Hit you with the bad pipes routine.
How does he maintain his humposity?
He likes it when it pinches my neck.
Why can't you open up, brother?
I'm a karate man. Karate man rules on the inside. They don't show their weaknesses.
Yeah.
How do you write women so well?
Zoe Williams,
Reason and accountability.
the voice of reason.
You have to be able to affirm yourself internally. Needing other people to affirm you makes you too vulnerable and dependent on others for validation. Other people have their own needs, and they can't always lift you up and rescue you from your negative thoughts about yourself. This is not to say that external validation isn't good. Compliments and recognition are great, and they feel great, but they can't be required for you to feel whole and complete.
Man, Dr. Tracy, man, she don't play. You guys should find her on YouTube. Dr. Tracy's work is amazing. Very, very thorough information. This is why I played the clip today. What is self-validation? Well, according to Psychology Today, self-validation is the act of accepting our own internal experience, including our thoughts and feelings. Self-validation could include encouraging ourselves instead of seeking to be encouraged. You have to learn that it's okay to encourage yourself. You have to learn to prioritize self-encouragement over external encouragement. Did you hear me? This is why I love my son so much, my oldest son. My God. The boy, I just poured into him as a youngster. I told him, you're going to be greater than me. I know you're watching me play, but right here at this stage, at this park, I ain't nobody when it comes to the game of basketball. But shortly, if you continue on the course you're on, man, oh Manischewitz, what I'm doing now will look like child's play. I said, and it's all about you, how you feel about yourself, and I told him, I said, the game is rhythm. You like to dance? Find your rhythm on the floor. And when you dance, I'm not dancing. So I can't take any credit for that. This is all you. And now that I'm doing this for you, now you have to do it for yourself. I said, because I'm not going to always be there. I said, as you matriculate up the ladder, high school, I'm there to a certain degree, but really, I got to defer to your coach. So there's going to be moments where you might feel like you're alone, but you still got you. Pour into yourself in those moments. Do you understand? Man, let me tell you something. Senior year, Fresno State. Fresno State writes an article about him because he's going to be the guy. He's the man. And they're talking about the fact that he's a philosophy major. And they're like, for New Williams, philosophy is the name of the game. I said, oh, they doing a article on Big New. Let me get this. Before, and let me tell you, his mother is the one who called me and said, yo, they wrote an article about New, Fresno State. I'm going to send it to you. And I should have known. She said, I'm going to send it to you and you tell me what you think. I should have known. I get the article, I'm reading it, and it sounds like I wrote it. But a part of me is proud, but I hear him in it. It's like he took what I told him and he recontextualized it for him. I was like, man, so I was really proud. Like, and this article like contained things that I have said to him over the years, but he took it and re-engineered it for him. These were his words. They weren't my words anymore. But his mother was like, he sounds like you. I'm sorry. The boy sounds like, I said, no, he sounds like him. But do you get what I'm saying? Sometimes you have to prioritize encouraging yourself over being encouraged by others. And I would tell him when he was young, you're going to lead. You're going to lead people. I said, right now you can't lead with your mouth because you don't have any seniority. I said, but how you lead or how you climb up this ladder of leadership. I said, every time you get on the floor, there's a new team, a new college, whatever, pros, whatever. You go find the best dude and you dog him on defense. Dog him. And that's been his little mode of operandi. And he believes in himself. It's not me. He be talking to me like, listen, Dad, you getting old, man. Just go on, sit down, Pops. I'd be like, yo, I got it. No, man. But I love that he wants to lead. He is the leader. And when I see it manifest, and he's in Turkey right now, they just went to the championship of their in-season tournament. They went to the championship. He was paid less than the other American they brought in because he came from a league that they didn't respect, and this Turkish GM is more like Jerry West. The Turkish GM was like, nah, I'm bringing in a dog. They was like, well, who is he? They didn't even know. So they paid him less than the other American. The other American is soft as doctor's cotton, getting paid twice as much. I said, don't worry about all that. He was like, no, Dad, I know. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to show out, and then the whole league is going to want me to stay. I said, I should be telling you that. He was like, no, I already understand this, Dad. And besides, you've never been a pro. Okay, put me in my place, son. That's true. I ain't never been a pro. But do you see? He encourages himself. He's internally directed. And sometimes we have to be that way. Acknowledging our strengths and efforts, he does that. Noticing and accepting our feelings. It's okay to feel uncomfortable. It's okay to feel pain. It's okay to feel disappointment. Emotions are ephemeral. They will subside. They gain strength when we run and resist. Carl Jung, what we resist persists. Prioritizing our needs. To prioritize your needs means to facilitate your own needs. See, we set up the facilitation to come in from an external source. You facilitate my needs. See, right here, self-validation equals the prioritization of needs, our needs. Not create a honey-do list for your significant other. No, it's you-do list for yourself. Right? Treating ourselves with kindness, self-empathy, right? Saying nice things to ourselves. the eradication of negative self-talk, accepting our limitations or mistakes. I am a work in progress. I am a whip, and I'm going to make mistakes. I look forward to making mistakes because in the mistake is the lesson. The lesson is the blessing. So really the mistake is the blessing. Now, the mistake only becomes a mishap when I try to minimize the mistake, avoid the mistake. I try to fall into perfectionism so I don't have to deal with mistakes, and then the mistakes start to compound. Do you see? Self-validation, you accept and embrace those mistakes. It's not your partner's job to make your wounds feel wanted. Gosh, I know you don't want to hear it put that way. Somebody told you that they got to accept you lock, stock, and barrel. No, they don't. Especially in light of the fact that most of us haven't accepted ourselves lock, stock, and barrel. So why would you put the onus on me to accept the complete you, and you ain't completed you yet? Psychologists call it individuation. You ain't merged no shadow with no light. You just know how to put filters over makeup. You know how to make up a mask. You know how to Beijing a beard. I know you don't want to hear it like that. I'm going to get off my soapbox. Nazarene X, Atlanta, Georgia. What are your thoughts on tonight's topic?
Hey, man, you doing your thing always, man. Your soapbox be like that. Don't even trip. Self-approve. You need it.
Yeah, man. What are your thoughts, my friend?
Man, tonight's topic is reminding me of a word I collided with in my later years. The whole aspect of cynicism. So the undercurrent of that I found was that to the tune of the topic, I feel like what we really dealing with is people that are prioritizing the algorithm over the almighty. Mm-hmm. And when you have that position of authority on yourself, not to mention the clarity of knowing that online personas and so forth, like that's embedded in the matrix, if you will. Like that's an imaginary field, and the whole time, like as long as you aren't going anywhere, that's where my cynicism comes in, because it's like, if nothing else, I feel like you can welcome the adversity, or even, I dare say, my problem or whatnot is like after a while, I became so-called cynical to where I enjoy, I'm trying to keep it in the past tense as I'm saying it, but I enjoy the quote-unquote approval from my demons. And that is like a thing because ultimately
I need you to break that down for me.
I'm with you.
Approval from your shadow, your demons, the inner dragon, right? Mm-hmm. Approval. Talk to me. What does that look like? I've never even heard of that concept. I'm taken aback. Tell me more.
Well, for one, any type of challenge or adversity or trouble, it's like in one breath, there are familiar spirits or familiar entities, or like, I've been through this before and whoop-de-whoop. But from that shadow self and the whole of it all, I still firmly believe that there are shared shadows amongst us. So just because I haven't been in XYZ situation before, like I actually it's almost like spiritually I'm keeping a tally or a score, like, oh, I've conquered this one or whatever. Mm-hmm. I'm looking for the new one as I'm pleasing God, or looking to just stay in step with wherever my purpose is. Like I'm not caught up in worrying about your fake likes or whether that's online or in my face. Mm-hmm. You feel me? It's just like what I want, because apparently I'm going to do nothing but attract more opportunities for my further elevation, my further self-fulfillment and so forth, I don't want to keep attracting the same thing. I'm actually, in a way, on the hunt for my next challenge. Because the whole time, like, I'm becoming more and more confident in the God within that's been sustaining me the whole time. Like, sometimes we got to get out of that way of taking credit at the same time. Because that's where, like, the wrong type of pride can come in. Like, you don't want to be boastful or egotistical. But now it's like facing the shadows, it helps me see the light better.
Understood.
Right? So
yes, understood. I got you.
As we getting on, I guess this whole external validation, like, I liken that to the money. Even as an artist, you might hear things where it's like, sometimes an artist doesn't even really first preoccupy him or herself with getting paid. Like, the true vein of artistry and creativity is just that self-expression. Like, that's a gift and a blessing in itself. Like, to just be able to have a voice that means something to you. And again, that's the whole internal piece. And when we present it to the world, and that's the artwork itself, we can be sensitive, but what we're doing is sharing an opportunity to draw light to thought, or like we're looking to evoke an emotion or issue change or something like that. It's not necessarily like, it's not for the payout, if you will, because the payout is inbuilt in that blessing. Right? So on all fronts, it's just like, I think for me, seeing how, quote unquote, close I can allow the wrong energy around me, it's, how do I put it? How I'm looking for the words. It's like if somebody has the wrong impression of me while simultaneously having an open line of communication with me, and I'm still willing to offer clarity of myself, I feel like it automatically sets the floor for someone to tell on themselves.
Stop.
Right?
Hold on. I want you to think about this. Can your clarity clear their sight of you? When we come forward, back to Atlanta for the answer.
Reasons. The reasons that we're here, the reasons that we fear, our feelings won't disappear. You're listening to the voice of reason with Zoe Williams on KBLA Talk 1580.
Our daughter Jessie loves playing detective.
A clue.
But since we discovered she has sensitive skin, we've been playing detective too.
We thought the problem was our puppy.
But it was actually our old detergent.
Aha.
So we switched to Tide Free and Gentle. Tide Free and Gentle provides an excellent Tide clean, and it doesn't leave behind irritating residues like dyes or perfumes, so it's gentle on your skin.
Case closed.
If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide Free and Gentle.
Hey, Mom, I've been meaning to talk to you about some new COVID information I saw online. I read that 3 out of 4 adults in the United States have a high risk factor for severe COVID-19. And Black folks like us with certain conditions like diabetes, heart disease, mental health conditions, or being 50 and older are at high risk.
Boy, you sound like a commercial.
I'm just saying. I know you love your ginger teas and essential oils, but remember, there are treatment options for COVID-19.
I promise if I get sick again, I'll call my doctor to ask about my options.
Joe Montana here. In my football days, I knew the importance of a strong defense. Now I'm sharing how you can help defend your health against pneumococcal pneumonia and invasive pneumococcal disease. Are you 50 or older like me? The CDC now recommends vaccination against pneumococcal disease. Even if you're healthy, your age puts you at increased risk and over 6 times greater risk of hospitalization with pneumococcal pneumonia than adults under 50. Schedule your appointment today at vaxassist.com.
Sponsored by Pfizer.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Autopsy Initiative provides a second autopsy free of charge for victims' families who have lost their loved ones due to a police-related death. The services offered through the initiative include the completion of a second autopsy, disclosure of preliminary findings, and a final autopsy report. A police-related death is when an individual is harmed by police officers using deadly force, which results in an individual's death. Police-related death includes in-custody deaths, including those that arise during contact with law enforcement officers during arrest, pursuit, booking, transport, or incarceration. The Autopsy Initiative has a team of board-certified pathologists on call. An autopsy request may be completed by anyone with a close relationship with the victim, which may include the victim's spouse, partner, relative, close friend, or lawyer. To request a free second autopsy for a victim of police violence, please visit knowyourrightscamp.com. That's knowyourrightscamp.com. Then click on Autopsy, then click on Request. At KBLA, we believe in justice for victims of police violence. We say their names, and we don't black down. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
You know you want some more. It's the voice of reason with Zoe Williams on KBLA Talk 1580.
So the first thing here is to separate validation of self from external validation. So what do I mean by that? External validation are things like, well, grades and standards of work at a job. To meet those standards, that is external validation, and we have to do that. You know, if we're studying, we want a degree, we have to pass the grade. We have to be able to take a test to validate that we have the knowledge that is required for the diploma. The same thing for work. You have to meet the standards of the work so that you can keep your job and that you get raises and promotions. All of those are things that we have to do, and there's nothing wrong with that. We can't just say, well, I don't care what other people think, and then not do a good job or not do our studies, and then we don't get the validation that is needed to get paid or to get that diploma or the certification or whatever it is. But that says nothing about who you are on a personal level. That says nothing about your personal existence. But it's amazing how much we confuse these two. We think when we don't pass the grade, when we get turned down for a job promotion, or when we don't get the job at all, we tend to take this very personal, and we get confused as to whether or not this validation has anything to do with maybe we're just not a right fit for a job, or maybe we did fall short, we didn't study enough. But that doesn't say that you're not a good enough human being, that you don't deserve to exist, or you're not worthy of having all the things that most people have, like love and attention and all those wonderful things that every human being has access to at any point. We tend to think that we have to earn those things through validation. Now, this probably comes from our childhood. We are often taught, well, if you do this or that, then you're a good boy or you're a good girl. We get confused at an early age about what it means to validate on a personal level versus just validating the fact that I worked really hard, therefore, I achieved this result. Or, that could be grades, like I said, or a job performance. This also gets really messy when it is something that's sort of in the personal realm, but it still has nothing to do necessarily with who you are as a person who is existing in the world. So what I mean by that is when we get turned down for a date, we ask someone out and they turn us down, or someone breaks up with us. It's hard not to take that personal, and we are going to take that personal because there's a lot of feelings involved. But once again, that just says that you're not meeting the criteria for that other person. And it has nothing to do with like a standard or of being good enough or worthy enough. Once again, this is very hard for people to separate. As much as possible, you want to separate these two. Maybe you're just not a good fit for someone else. Maybe you're just not a good fit for what it is that they want. Again, that does not invalidate your existence, even though it might feel that way. It feels very personal, but separate.
So we're familiar with the term, I am enough, right? That's a self-validating term. You can also say, I am valid to me. Right? You know what we speak of tonight is true. You know what we're saying is true. So many people want to be wanted while simultaneously not wanting their full selves. Get back in here, Nazarene. I asked you a question.
Yes, sir.
What's the answer, my friend?
All right. Shout out to my Uncle Gregory. Flying peace to him. Again, to answer your question, to make sure I'm clear on it, it's basically, can my clarity of self change someone's opinion of me?
Right.
More or less, right?
Because what happens is, and I heard what you said, what we tend to do is we try to coach the person, we try to give clarity, because really when we're giving clarity, we're trying to convince, we're selling them, and we're trying to pull them into how we view ourselves, right? Can you see what I see about me? And that's never going to happen. No one can experience you as you experience yourself. So trying to give clarity, it will only be symbolic. You have to remember that. It will only be symbolic. And it's okay for them not to see you as you are. Do you understand?
I do. And I believe even what you were speaking to is it's not even the so-called providing clarity, is being clear inside and holding that space. Right, like the clarity itself is the way maker on all fronts. So to the tune of like, again, it's kind of cynical or whatever, but like my uncle used to tell me, in other words, like, people could think what they want, and 2 bullets to the head to change all that.
But wait, what you just said about clarity is deep, because it's exactly in alignment with Krishnamurti. What did he say? He said the highest level of intelligence is to be able to observe without judgment. Do you see? Do you see the futility in trying to explain the truth of you to another? That's like the Milky Way trying to explain the truth of itself to Andromeda. And
that's the thing, like
but hold tight. I know you want to get back in here, but stay with me. We got to come forward. When we come forward again, we're going to talk to our brother Nazarene next and get his final thoughts.
He's on fire tonight. It's the Voice of Reason with Zoe Williams, exclusively on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. President Trump ended federal diversity policies Monday, citing discrimination concerns. He hinted at targeting private DEI efforts next as companies like Meta and Walmart scale back similar initiatives. Reverend Al Sharpton called for a boycott of companies cutting diversity programs, citing Martin Luther King Jr.'s fight for equality. He said the National Action Network will act within 90 days. Black New York City Mayor Eric Adams is pledging to work with President Trump on addressing criminal migrants, stating those who commit violent crimes forfeit their right to remain in the U.S. Adams assured law-abiding migrants they can still pursue the American dream despite Trump signaling plans for mass deportation. And Chicago celebrated Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day with events like the Rainbow Push Coalition's MLK Breakfast at Soldier Field. Jesse Jackson Sr. was honored as the first Black presidential candidate. I'm Amber Payton on the Black Information Network, your home for Black News First.
Don't like to be told what to eat and when? Introducing the $6 all-day big deal meal at Jack in the Box. No matter the hour, you get to choose from 4 entrees and 5 tasty sides, plus a drink. So, do you get a burger, fry, and hash brown in the AM? At Jack, every bite's a big deal.
This is for all the folks who appreciate follow-through. Here's a quick recap of the KBLA Talk 1580 2024 Climate Justice Campaign. More than 6.4 million Southern Californians viewed our climate justice billboards and bus shelters. Another 1.5 million people listened to and or downloaded our weekly conversations with African American climate experts. Our KBLA Climate Justice web portal had 2.8 million unique visitors. Thousands more attended our 7 climate justice community events. More than 9.3 million riders saw our climate care messaging on metro buses and trains. And 39 million Americans accessed our C-SPAN Climate Justice Symposium. All told, our 2024 Climate Justice Campaign exceeded 471 million total impressions. KBLA Talk 1580 thanks all of our 2024 Climate Justice partners: LADWP, Metro, Caltrans, Sierra Club, California Community Foundation, the California Endowment, LA City Council member Curran D. Price Jr., the California Wellness Foundation, MWD, AQMD, and the Port of Los Angeles. Caring about the climate, caring about the community, changing the conversation. We're KBLA Talk 1580. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. LA County's new Justice Care and Opportunities Department, or JCOD, is here to support justice-involved individuals and their families. The JCOD Support Center is now taking calls at 1-833-LACJCOD. That's 1-833-522-5263. Available 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m., the Support Center is your one-stop shop for re-entry issues and court support. They offer court reminders, connections to local services, transportation assistance for housing, court appearances, and childcare. The JCOD hotline provides personalized help to connect you with services that you need. And don't forget to check out justiceconnect.org for more information. Remember, it's free and available every day at 1-833-522-5263. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
The smarter way to clean your floors. It's time to make the swap. Swiffer Power Mop.
Introducing the new Swiffer Power Mop, the all-in-one tool that gives you a mop and bucket clean in half the time. The solution's built right in, so no heavy bucket, and the pad has hundreds of scrubbing strips to get deep into grout. Don't mop harder, mop smarter.
Swiffer Power Mop. Swiffer Power Mop.
Lena Bloom for the Bail Project. Imagine you're stuck in a jail cell and you can't afford bail and someone offers you a way out. Just plead guilty and you can go home and kiss your kids goodnight. What do? What thousands have. You plead guilty whether you are or not. Cash bail makes poverty a crime. That's why the Bail Project helps those who can't afford it while fighting to end cash bail. Because freedom should be free.
Brought to you by the Ad Council.
As a mom, comforting my family is what I do best. Vicks Vapor Stick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks Vapors in an easy-to-apply stick. And it dries fast, so there's no mess. I use it to comfort myself and my family.
Thanks, Mom.
Vicks Vapo Stick, soothing comfort for the whole family. And when you need more comfort for yourself, try Vicks Vapo Shower Max for steamy Vicks Vapors. Use as directed. Vapo Stick for use ages 4 and up. Vapo Shower Max use for adults only.
Hey, can you blow up some balloons for Jack's party?
I can't. I'm so congested.
You need Sinex Saline from Vicks.
Sinex Saline Nasal Spray?
Yeah, just Sinex. Breathe.
Sinex Saline instantly clears everyday congestion associated with colds and year-round allergies with a gentle, ultra-fine mist that's no mess and easy to control.
Daddy, we need more balloons.
On it.
Enjoy life's important moments without congestion. Try Sinex Saline from Vicks. Just Sinex. Breathe. Use as directed.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Zoe Williams. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
what is the most addictive substance on the planet? Now, when I first asked myself this question, immediately my mind went to, it's got to be sugar. Widely available, widely accepted. Almost everybody is using it, right? And they do it openly, freely. As a matter of fact, they say if you don't use this substance, there's probably something wrong with you. So I thought it was sugar. But then I said, wait a minute. There are now groups and organizations who are speaking against sugar. And it is now widely understood that sugar is no good for the human body. So then I thought to myself, okay, maybe it's coffee, because there's no organization against coffee, right? Surely it has to be coffee. There is no real taboo around it. Sure, there might be a few individuals who speak against it, but almost everybody is addicted to the substance known as coffee, and it has built a $1 trillion industry, or at least a multi-billion dollar industry. But when I really started to dig and ask myself at a deeper level as far as addiction is concerned, I realized that it was no physical substance at all. As a matter of fact, it was a psychological and emotional substance known as external validation. That's right. The reason why Apple is a $1 trillion company, and the reason why the products that you get on Apple's device all become these multi-billion, if not $1 trillion companies, is because we are hooked to external validation, the validation of others. We are hooked to the attention, the affirmation, and the acceptance of strangers. And that is what pushes this industry. Now, I'm not going to tell you that I'm against these things. I'm not anti anything, as a matter of fact. I believe that these are tools that can be used. As a matter of fact, they are allowing you to get this message right now, which is hopefully of value to you at this very moment in your life. But nevertheless, it doesn't take away from the reality that we as a people, we as a culture, we as human race have become absolutely infatuated and addicted with the idea of having others approve of us. Now, is this a new phenomenon? Absolutely not. Is it going away? I don't think so. But I do believe that it has spiked in its users or addicts per se, right? There are more addicts now and more hardcore addicts of external validation than there's ever been in the history of mankind. And that I know without a shadow of a doubt, because never before have we had the ability to access so much external validation. Back in the day, before the phones and the tech existed, you could step into a village and maybe a few people pay attention to you and validate you. Maybe you could do some things in order to impress the people in that village, and they would pay you attention and they would pay you affection or whatever it may be, right? Maybe you could be the biggest whiner in the entire village and that would get you attention, just like nowadays. Things don't change much for humanity. Anyway, you find yourself in a place where you are seeking that external validation, but you can't necessarily find it in every space and every place, right? And at a certain point in time, the people around you may start to think to themselves, well, we can't just live our lives to, service this individual, all the attention and affection and admiration they want by simply, propping themselves up as a victim. We need this person to be productive in our culture, in our society. But step into 2023 and beyond. As a matter of fact, before 2023, we can go back even 10 years from this date. 10 years.
I love the young brother. He was cooking. Yes. This is the culture. We live in the crave culture. Craving validation, approval, acknowledgement, attention. But yet, paradoxically so, we refuse to give ourselves self-compassion, self-understanding. We refuse to cultivate self-wisdom. You becoming jaded is not you becoming wise. Somebody hurt you, so now your defense mechanisms are up. Your boundaries are now borders and walls. They're not pliable, they're not scalable, they're in defense mode. You've created a moat around your heart. That's not self-wisdom. Self-wisdom goes deeper and says, how did I magnetize this experience to me? Yeah, psychology is starting to use these terms too, Mirroring. Oh, we're mirroring each other. Yes. It's real stuff, man. Let me get my brother back in here for his final thought. Nazarene X?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
All right.
Yeah, real quick on the final tip, I just encourage everyone to remember that, every ear isn't equipped to hear. All eyes are not equipped to see. So you just fight your boredom by chasing every sense of purpose that comes from within. Remain relentless and convicted in that, and the way gonna clear itself. Just stay focused, stay on course.
I like that, but were you going to answer my question I have for you? Do you remember it?
I do not. What was that question? My bad. Pardon the schism.
Nephew, it's okay, man. You did a great job talking with me tonight, man. I loved it. But let me just say this. Guess what you just did?
And give me that question right quick, man. I'm trying to get it work.
No.
All right, love. ATL in the building.
Yeah, ATL in the building. Hey, let me just say this. I love the fact that, people call in from all over the country on a nightly basis to discuss what are really some difficult topics. First off, there are insecure attachment styles that block intimacy, that block closeness, that block connection. Now, we understand that we've talked about these insecure attachment styles, whether it's anxious preoccupied, whether it's dismissive avoidant, whether it's fearful avoidant, or a combination, a mix of those three, right? What we know is you can't be intimate unless you're vulnerable, right? You can't be vulnerable unless you get close. So if you're far away from yourself, meaning the truth of who you are, if you're far away from the process of self-validation, self-acknowledgement, self-esteem, self-worth, self-approval, if you haven't cultivated any of that, it's going to be very difficult for you to cultivate intimacy with another. Now, you can have sex, but you won't be intimate. Do you see? It'll be performative. It'll be you getting yourself off as much as they're trying to get you. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Do you see? Validation and the fabric of intimacy. Remember, intimacy. Into me, see. Do you know how frightening that is for the person living as themselves? They don't want to see into themselves. So imagine trying to be intimate with somebody and it means intimacy. See into me. I don't want you to see into me. I want you to get in here and get this work in so I can get off and go to bed. How many relationships exist like that? Validation in the fabric of intimacy. The need for external validation introduces a potent challenge to intimacy. Relationships thrive on vulnerability, trust, and mutual respect. Yet, the craving for acknowledgement can distort these dynamics. When individuals prioritize being understood over understanding themselves, relationships may devolve into transactional, do you see? Into this transactional-based thing where emotional manipulation masquerades as connection. Come on, man. Consider the phenomena of transactional emotional manipulation when individuals weaponize vulnerability to extract validation. This dynamic fosters performative nurturing, as we talked about on Monday, right? Where caring becomes a calculated act rather than a genuine expression of love. Are we unintentionally commodifying affection, trading emotional currency instead of fostering genuine bonds? Furthermore, the cultural demonization of psychological discomfort exacerbates this issue. In a society that prioritizes intimate or immediate gratification, discomfort is often avoided rather than confronted. This avoidance It weakens resilience, making relationship challenges harder to navigate. Right? This is how you could turn a conflict into a catastrophe. No, it's just a conflict. It's not a catastrophe. It doesn't have to be catastrophized. No, it's a conflict. And it's okay to have them. And it's okay to grow through them. It's all right. It's okay to not have an answer right now. Do you see? Are we cultivating a generation ill-equipped for the discomfort necessary for true intimacy? Imagine falling in love with somebody and they're fearful avoidant or dismissive avoidant, and they got to face themselves one day. I really don't want to lose this person, but I'm used to losing people. I'm used to getting to a point where I can't take it no more and I just tap out. Imagine getting to a point where that person says, not this person. I'm going to purposely lean in no matter how uncomfortable it is. Imagine getting to an internal space of resilience to where you go, I know my primary caregiver missed opportunities for emotional attunement with me. I know I've got decades of conditioning of loving independence and being by myself. Right? I know I love the honeymoon portion of the relationship when it's all good and it's safe for me to show I like somebody and show that I care. But the moment it deepens and it gets deeper and deeper, I start to get claustrophobic. Imagine in the claustrophobic moment, they say, nah, not this time, not this person. They're too valuable. I'm going to lean in. And then imagine the anxious preoccupied says, nope, after all these decades of chasing, after all these decades of trying to fix it, after all these decades of being the one to call and apologize first, after all these decades of trying to have a conversation to get understanding so we can get back on the right track. Imagine in a moment, he said, no, my psychological conditioning will no longer dictate how I do this. I'm worth more than being a chaser. I'm pulling back. And this time, for good. Imagine how uncomfortable that is. But this is humanity. This is what we have to do. When we come forward, the voice of reason gonna cook up the rest of this meal.
Is it good to you? Good to you? More Voice of Reason with Zoe Williams when we come forward.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. If you need help getting your resume in order, finding job training, or landing a job, we've got 3 great options for you. First, the City of Los Angeles has WorkSource centers across the area offering free job support. The California Workforce Development Board can help you with everything from GED prep to vocational training at no cost to you. On the federal level, the Department of Labor's American Job Centers offer a full range of services services for job seekers and businesses alike. Visit careeronestop.org, or for more info, just call California's Help Center or visit cwdb.ca.gov or call 916-657-1440. For the City of Los Angeles programs, go to ewdd.lacity.gov or call 213-744-7300. All these services are free to help you get your next job. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Hey there, Los Angeles. This is James Lucky Jr., publisher and editor of Los Angeles News Observer. Are you hungry for news that matters to you in the African American communities of Los Angeles? Well, buckle up, because we got the scoop you've been craving. Stay in the know and never miss a beat with our free weekly publications conveniently available near you. Or hop on the digital wave and become an exclusive subscriber at OGNSC.com. Don't forget to join the party on Instagram and Twitter at OGNSCINC for behind-the-scenes access and sizzling updates. No more FOMO. Let's stay informed, connected, and empowered together.
You know you want some more. It's the voice of reason with Zoe Williams on KBLA Talk 1580.
So, what is validation? Validation is about feeling seen and recognized by other people. It's like a reassuring nod from the world that says, I see you, I hear you, and your feelings and experiences matter. In short, it's a way of feeling like you matter because somebody else thinks you matter. It's completely natural for us to want to be acknowledged by others and to feel like we belong. But when we let our self-worth become dependent on the opinions of others, we start creating issues for our mental health. Why? Because it's like building your happiness on unstable ground.
Just bring me back. You've heard it all. And it's really clear to me. Self-validation is, I want you to listen very carefully, self-validation is self-intimacy, right? Self-intimacy. You have to be intimate intrapersonally in order for you to be intimate interpersonally. Do you understand? Wounds, unhealed wounds, prevent us from being intrapersonally intimate. Again, acknowledging your feelings. That is intrapersonal intimacy. Not speaking negatively about yourself is intrapersonal intimacy. You go to therapy, you sit down, and a good therapist will say, hey, what are some of the negative narratives you speak about yourself? What's the story you keep repeating? Do you see? You can't be intimate. You can only be transactional. You can only be sexual. You can only be carnal, physical. You can't be spiritual, and relationships are inherently spiritual. Do you see? Krishnamurti put it this way. Self-knowledge is only from moment to moment, and therefore is a creative happiness from moment to moment. If you're dragging the wounds from yesteryear into these brand new moments, it becomes unhappiness from moment to moment when you don't get what the wound wants. Do you see? Do you see? The wound is a parasite that has taken over the sovereignty of your soul. You must reclaim it. The more you know yourself, the more clarity there is. Nas, remember you were talking about clarity and clarifying for others? You can't. You can only clarify for yourself. The more you know yourself, the more clarity there is. Self-knowledge has no end. You do not come to an achievement. You do not come to a conclusion. It is an endless river. Krishnamurti. The insights of Krishnamurti. Again, he goes even deeper. Freedom comes with self-knowledge. When the mind goes above and beyond the hindrances it has created for itself. That's Krishnamurti. But listen, you modeled, right, something in childhood which made you a child prisoner. Do you see? That blocked off your ability to be intrapersonally intimate with yourself, approving, acknowledging, loving, caring, empathetic. It prevented you from doing that for yourself. So you were raised with coping mechanisms. And then the coping mechanisms turned into expectations. Co-authored by unhealed wounds and your inner child. Validation is our drug. I started the conversation. It's up to you to finish it. Man, that playlist was crazy tonight. Brother, what was the last record that played? I love my instrumental jazz pieces, man. What was that? Flight of the Blackbird by Zoe. It sounds so royal. It was beautiful music tonight. Hey, listen, I started the conversation. It's up to you to finish it. If you enjoy the Voice of Reason, be back with me tomorrow. You already know what it is. I got another slapper already lined up. Let's do it.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. President Trump has officially